When I had a lot of aphids in my garden, I didn't want to wait for the beneficial insects to come through because my infestation was so bad that I didn't think it could wait, even though I have lots of plants that should have attracted them. And although nurseries do sell beneficial insects like lacewings and ladybugs, buying them is usually not a great idea because commercially farmed insects can deplete native populations and they also may carry disease and can compete with your local populations. And while I have bought beneficial insects in the past, now I know better, so it wasn't an option for me. There is a field that is basically behind my house, and I knew there were lots of ladybugs in that field. And that is where I got the idea to start foraging for my ladybugs, and I've been doing this for about 3 years now. To forage for ladybugs, you need to make something to collect them in, and I used a cleaned out cat food can and I put plastic wrap tightly over it, and then I poked a little hole in the top and put some painter's tape over that hole. Something else that works really well for this is a clear cup from a coffee shop or a fast food place with a lid, but I hadn't been to one of those places in a while, so I used what I had. And fields like this are perfect to forage for ladybugs because this is a field full of flowering plants with lots of lush growth, and they do like to hang out in fields that have forage crops, and the majority of what's in this field is hairy vetch. The morning is the best time to forage for them because they might be harder to find if it gets too hot for them because they may become lethargic or look for shelter somewhere cooler. The morning is also when they are just kind of waking up for the day, so they should be easier to catch and handle since they will be moving a little slower. And when you're foraging for ladybugs, the key is to start with looking lower to the ground first. While you might find some crawling on the tops of plants, you'll usually find them lower to the ground, and you can see there is a ladybug right here. It was hard to collect the ladybugs and film it at the same time out in the field, but you want to lift the painter's tape up a bit and very gently, yet quickly, grab the ladybug and drop it in the hole and seal it back up and continue foraging. I collected a couple of ladybugs, including one larva that was going through pupation. And you don't ever want to take more than a few ladybugs at a time because you don't want to disturb a population too much. But again, this field is practically in my backyard, so they could find their way back here if they wanted to, and even by just taking a few ladybugs, it can still be enough to get the aphid eating party started, and my hope was that some of them would at least lay some eggs in my garden to help jumpstart the ladybug population. And ladybug eggs can hatch in about 3 to 10 days, so you don't have to wait very long to see some larvae. When you release ladybugs, you want to do it at night because they sleep at night but will be hungry when they wake up in the morning, so they would be more likely to stick around longer versus flying away if you were to release them during the day when they are active. You can safely put ladybugs in the refrigerator or a cool place until then, as the coolness will help them settle down a bit. And for more air, you can loosen up the tape over the hole a little so that they can't get out, but it will still allow air to come through. But before you do that, they may still need some water, and the best way to do that is to put a wet cotton ball inside for them so they can crawl around and get some water if they need it. Before you release your ladybugs in the evening, it's a good idea to water the areas you'll be placing the ladybugs in so they kind of feel like they have what they need and will stay put. But once it starts to get dark, they will start getting settled in for the night. After watering the area, you can release them, and I usually just remove the plastic wrap or the lid and let them crawl out on their own. They'll eventually find the plants and take shelter on or in them. In some instances, I may take one ladybug or two and place them in a different area if I have multiple areas of aphid infestations, but other than that, I just let them settle wherever they want. This was the next morning, and some of the ladybugs were crawling around on the plants in the area they were released, but I also did notice that some moved around to different raised beds nearby, so they hadn't really gone anywhere, which meant they probably found some aphids, and they did end up sticking around for a bit. And a few days later, I did notice some eggs were laid, and a few more days later, I saw some larvae. And while it may have been from a combination of the ladybugs I foraged and ladybugs or larvae that found their way to my garden naturally, I still think the foraging helped me get a head start to building the ladybug population in my garden faster than just waiting for them to show up. And even within just a few days after I released my foraged ladybugs into my garden, I saw a decrease in aphids, and once more eggs hatched, the aphid infestation was pretty much eliminated within a few days. So if you feel like you need a little bit of help getting the ladybug population started in your garden, foraging for them can be a great way to do that, but remember to forage responsibly, just as you would for plants. Never take more than a handful at a time so you don't deplete them from the area, and never go onto someone else's property that you don't have permission to be on, and just stick to public areas or fields.